Hello and shalom, friends. This is Mayim Vega, your naturopathic herbalist and holistic life coach. And I have a, special guest here with me today. I have my friend Peter, all the way in Italy. Was that right? Did I remember
Yes.
correctly? Yes, he's in Italy. And he interviewed me on his podcast. And I was like, I think you're a much more interesting man than I am. I need to interview on my podcast as well. So I invited him here. And let me see, I'm going to try to remember everything that I can from our conversation. Um, he was an investment banker, right?
Yes.
In his former life, in his earlier life. And he had a lot of success from that. Um, but then similar to me, you faced like a healing crisis, right? A health crisis.
Burnout.
And
Yes, exactly.
eventually. So I'll leave there and go ahead and let you continue with the story if you don't mind.
Yes. Thank you for the beautiful introduction. Um, I used to be in a completely different world that I am now. I used to be in business world. Um, did one term in London and then moved to Switzerland because in 2007 the World Taxation Treaty stopped in London, so we had to pay taxes on everything we earn outside UK. So we transferred our business to Switzerland when I served 3 terms as a chief financial officer.
Yeah, let me just make a note about that because I love talking about politics. People in America, this is what happens when you try to tax rich people too much, they just leave the country. So it doesn't work, okay? Sorry.
Thank
Please go
you.
ahead.
So yeah, basically in Europe, every state now has different tax treatment. Italy, for example, offer us 5% a year flat rate for 5 years. Um, if we make money outside Italy. And my main market is US, so Italy is a nice place to live in as far as taxes are concerned. Uh, anyway, back to my days as investment banker and doing investments in different sectors and different businesses. I was extremely goal-driven individual, and that led me to um, personal health crisis with a burnout. And because I was over leveraged, I've also experienced bankruptcy. So I had to start from zero. So my health problems were compound with my financial problems. However, it was a good thing, or at least I will now believe that it was a good thing because it was necessary to start my life in more sustainable way, where I had to find a balance between health, fitness. That I distinguish that. I needed to start distinguishing between functionality, so being functional, and being healthy, and being able to perform above average, or we call it high performance.
Can I ask you a question first
Yes,
before we
please.
move on about that? I would like to know how old you were when that happened and if you had a family and wife and children and things like that.
I was 40 years old. I had a wife. So, and it was time in my life when like midlife crisis strike, burnout came, everything, everything combined somehow, and just the world seems like everything was going against me. I was severely overweight. I had 60 pounds more than I have now. I was not extremely fit. I did a lot of weightlifting, but weightlifting does not necessarily guarantees that you're fit. That is important, especially in America. We see a lot of overweight weightlifters, um, and I had to did a radical change, moved from the city to a family farm, and
Oh, and was your wife on board with everything? Was she supportive?
no, I got a divorce on that.
Oh, I'm sorry
So
to hear that. Sorry, I'm a
and,
woman, so I always want to hear that part, that side of it, like I'm sorry to hear that.
so everything was she didn't want to leave the city, and she had a career in banking. So um, but I needed a change anyway. So we somehow everything fall apart in the same time. So it was a good start. It was like a story of Job from the Bible.
Job, yeah, Job from the Bible. Okay, I have another question.
Yes, please.
When the crisis happened to you, were you immediately like, this is a good thing, something good will come out of it? Or because I don't think Job was immediately like, oh, there's going to be good after this. When the tragedy hit Job, he was like confused. He seemed confused, like standing his ground as, I didn't do anything wrong to deserve this, but also not sure why. So how were
Yeah,
you like when it first happened?
I had so I had really similar. That is why I can relate to him so much, and this is one of my favorite stories from the Bible. Uh, However, I had a huge denial phase before that. So I was basically everything was all right. Okay, I'm getting a bit older. No problem if I put on 10 pounds. Okay, I cannot run for an hour. No problem because I'm now almost 40. I don't eat healthy. No problem. Nobody does. I'm just gonna work out a bit more. Uh, I was in denial phase for probably a decade before it struck.
Oh wow,
And
yeah, that's a long time.
yes, and only when things really come, when uh, when I there was no other exit, I had to realize, okay, maybe things are not working. Maybe not paying enough attention for to my health is not okay. Maybe I have a lot of indication of depressions that I would just ignore before. Maybe I need to start changing my diet. Maybe I need to start a different workout. Maybe there are things that I have to work on. So I had leaky gut symptoms, um, and a lot of things. I was swollen a lot. So I had a bucket list of things that I didn't do that I would just write it down on my bucket list and for 20 years, and I would just skip everything, and it just everything came crashing down. And then I started with fasting, and the most important thing for me was to realize that you don't need that much food. and and that led into other discoveries. Okay, you don't need that many cars, you don't need that many houses, you don't need all this stuff is just um, and all this led to understand that it's all society induced norms and goals. It's not my inner values that were important. So everything I was building for to be a decent or uh, member of society that people would look up to and stuff like that. But my inner values were completely different. I'm an explorer by heart, and I run an organ lab now, and that is I do a lot of research. I don't do a lot of business anymore. Um, I do get paid if I help people save their problems, and because of the business background, it's easier for me to work with high performance people in business because I understand what's going on and why they don't have time, and why they miss their children's play and stuff like that. Because I would miss all my family events because I was traveling all the time. So um, then after I understood these societal induced norms and my values and my goals, I started my body wellness assessment. Okay, I knew I was overweight, but I was everything was inflamed, everything was hard. It was uh, nothing made sense anymore. Then I went deep into the psychotherapy and discovered the difference between conscious and subconscious mind. Then I would discover.
And when you say that you went deep into psychotherapy, does that mean that you were studying psychotherapy, or does it mean that you were seeing regularly a
both,
psychotherapist?
both.
Both. Okay.
My biggest challenge with psychotherapy was the denial phase because there was a lot. I don't need anyone. I can handle. I have myself fully under control and so on. And psychotherapy has a huge stigma still in society, especially with high performers. And we believe the psychotherapy is to restore functionality so that we can function within society. We don't perceive it as something that would improve our performance. That is why so many people have such a hard time deciding to work with different psychotherapists. Um, and of
Yeah, because
course,
there's a long held stigma about psychotherapists that
yes,
they're there to fix you when you're broken so that you can be part of normal society again, right?
yes, functional. So you're a bit crazy, and then you go to psychotherapy. It's not that you might have a performance problem that is rooted in our subconscious mind that we are not aware of, and some expert might be able to help us. And that is why, after long studying of psychotherapy and a lot of classes and workshops and stuff like that, I was able to comprehend that my subconscious problems were basically stopping me to live my life to the fullest and also in my business. I would like to stress something that I discovered and I'm really proud of, that every business problem is a personal problem of one of the stakeholders in business. And that is
Wow.
important to understand. So when I consult to business owners, I recommend psychotherapy and of course coaching based on the traumas or fears and stuff like that that we discover during the session. And I believe that investing in psychotherapy is probably the number one investment every company should do with their key employees. I'm really, um, let's say, firmly convinced that that is the best investment. And also, average car in America is now sold for about $40,000. And if you would invest average car worth in your self-development, that would probably be much better investment than your car. And it would, it's not, because a lot of times people say knowledge brings the best interest, but it's not true. I would I would dare to argue that working on yourself with an accountability partner brings the best interest.
Yeah.
So
So I have some personal, I guess, hangups with psychotherapists, which is my experience with them is they usually want to drug you up. So I prefer life coaches and life coaching because they have no idea about drugs. You know, they're only there to help you mentally, you know.
yeah,
And
there are a lot of different psychotherapists, and as in every profession. For example, if you have a car mechanic, most of them are able to change your oil and change your tires. However, if you're looking for a mechanic for a Formula One team, then there is a lot less people capable of being mechanic for a Formula One team. And if you believe that you're high performance, and I believe that most of your audience is, it's really hard to find the adequate psychotherapists that will not drag you, that will be your accountability partner and a cheerleader when needed. And I always say it's hard to find the one that is matched to your personality, that is in a similar age that you are or senior, and that had similar life experiences. Because I do believe you mentioned life coaches, and life coaches, they need a lot of experience. And when we gather experiences, most of our experiences are extremely negative. And it's important that we, like, for example, I'm a life coach. I have a positive outlook at life. And the biggest challenge for me was how to process my negative emotions and stop being bitter and grumpy and become someone that can encourage you, despite being accountability partner. I don't want to be someone that would disencourage you to do something new, to try new things, to try different approach, or to change your mindset. I would encourage you, and there needs to be a healthy dose of optimism involved in change, because change is hard. I know we are all looking for a blue pill. Okay, let's take a pill and that's it. But change is about the red pill. We see things differently, and it change is hard. So you need someone on your side that it's optimistic and that will help you stay on the path of change. I don't believe change is a destination. Change is a path for most of us. So that is how I discovered with myself. And if you don't like your therapist, just get a different therapist. Now is or life coach, because if you have a performance problem, a life coach will probably be much better. Um, uh,
So you're saying the psychotherapist for the more deeper issues, right?
so there are a lot of different psychotherapists. However, if you have um, deep unresolved traumas, I would recommend that you go through them with psychotherapists. I'm not the one that believes in reliving your traumas, but at least acknowledging them or identifying them is good. I'm the one that believes that if you make a good life in your future, all traumas will be healed. It's not Jungian-ish, but because I don't want anyone to relive traumas if possible. Of course, also during our coaching, sometimes some traumas arise or are identified as an obstacle to success. However, my advice is always have better life in the future. If you have, for example, trauma from past relationships, new relationships that are harmonized, and if you find the right person, all the traumas will be gone and will be just a bad memory.
That's very true. So that's great. Do you think we could talk about your books, both your old one and your new one that is coming out?
Yeah, I would love to talk about my book, because my
Do you want to start with this one?
yes, let's
Okay.
start with this one.
Yeah, I have it on the screen.
Uh,
So.
so what I've experienced as a burnout that I already mentioned is I felt myself as a factory of broken dreams. Whatever I started to explore, whatever I started to do, everything went wrong. So I said, okay, I'm a factory of broken dreams. And I've developed then, I needed 240 weeks to close down my factory of broken dreams. That is
Wow.
why I wrote a book, because most of the things that I did was wrong. For example, I had a psychotherapist that was just talking about my traumas. And I was reliving my traumas, childhood traumas, all these traumas all the
Mm,
time, to no avail. So I
yeah.
was did not help me in a, okay, I identified them. I
He wasn't
understand
moving
them.
you forward, right? It was
Yes,
just,
yes. It
yeah,
just got me
that's another
stuck in the
issue that I
past.
have with some of them. Yeah.
And that is why I wrote this 12 week program that can help you achieve what I needed 240 weeks in 12 weeks time. So it's
Mm.
20x time saving if you take this book and start reading it. And I share my personal experiences and also experiences of my clients on each of the topic for each of the 12 weeks. Um, and I do believe that is a must read for everyone that is experiencing a midlife crisis.
Mm.
Uh, because midlife crisis was really popular in the 80s. And then when the science developed, they could uh, they could identify every specific um, uh,
Factor.
yeah, every specific effect or problem, and they just stopped using midlife crisis because they could describe every problem in such a detail. But a midlife crisis just it's a bunch of different problems that we all face, and what that is why I talk so much about it, and I'm really uh, eager to share that we are all in this together. Everyone comes into the midlife crisis, or
I
almost everyone.
I have a
And
theory. I have a theory also about midlife crisis, and the reason why it happens around that time, 40s, is because that's when your body goes has an accelerated aging um process. It's I think it's twice, and in both of them are in the 40s. So I think that's why, I don't think it's like a coincidence, but physically also your body is changing. And then,
I would agree with that. And of course, 20 years of neglecting our body also helps,
yeah, sure.
adds to this, and also our focus. The biggest challenge is, especially if you're successful, that you got your fourth car, you got your second house, you got your I don't know, second wife right now, or I don't know what's the average in US, but you're not help. You don't appreciate anything you have, and you feel lost, and you have such a huge void that you're trying to fill with all these um, different stuff that you buy, that you do. All this is just filling some inner void instead of um, discussing what are your values, what do you really want in your life. Do you want experiences? Do you want um, what would make you happy? What would happen? My biggest challenge was after the bankruptcy, um, was, okay, what would I do if I would have $1 billion again? And I said, okay, I basically, even after the bankruptcy, I could afford everything that I wanted. So it's so why is the then bankruptcy so bad if all I ever wanted was, I don't know, living on a family farm and I could go there. So it's um, we are trying to achieve something, and when we achieve it, we're just empty. So how could we how could we have this adrenaline dopamine connection that would really make us happy and happy every day?
Hmm.
And how can we be proud of what we did on the end of each day? Why do we need all these degrees that we strive so hard and we study years and years to get a degree? Then we needed months or even years to buy a house and or to buy a car, and then we needed, I don't know, years to go somewhere in this organization, And then we needed like 5 years to visit all the places we ever wanted to visit and similar. Um, and then we have all this and we're not happy. And
Mm.
what is really making us happy? What are our inner values? I know society induced values are simple. Have a car bigger than your neighbor, be the most influential person on the internet, have the most beautiful wife, and I don't know, be on the Forbes list, stuff like that. That's our society-induced norms. But do they really make us happy? For example, wouldn't be, walking the dog twice a day for an hour make us happier? So these things um, are something that we have to feel about. So and what are the trade-offs? Okay, I can drive the latest Mercedes, and am I happy? Would I be happier if I would just drive Corolla and have time to walk a dog twice a day? Where are the trade-offs? What are the trade-offs that we are willing to accept in the future? Because somehow in the midlife crisis, we also acknowledge that we might not live forever. We,
Yeah.
we have to acknowledge that we are not forever young, at least. Then we just go from there, and things do change. And I believe that, or strongly believe that having accountability partner is really important, because
Mm.
someone needs to walk us through what are our inner values, to help us find our inner values, identify our inner values, because all other values are society induced and we're not happy with it. We even feel stuck, or most high performers feel stuck in their midlife time. So
Yeah. Yeah.
how to move from there?
Yeah. I think about that a lot. I think about, after my midlife crisis, I was like, oh, I want more, right? But then I also think, but I have everything that's most important to me. I have that already. And just to remember, to be content, because the most important things I've already accomplished.
For me, gratitude was one of the hardest lessons I had to learn, and I also dedicate a full week in my 12-week program in my book to gratitude, because the gratitude for me was just just showing that I'm grateful was part of my, let's say, education, and it was part of being polite, so that you're grateful for something.
Mm,
It was not that inner feeling of contentment, or on being really satisfied with something. So
mm,
I did not know what gratitude is, even if I was taught at an early age that I have to be grateful for everything. And another big thing that we have to do when we are in the midlife crisis, or in the mid of the midlife crisis, is forgiveness.
mhm.
And I would practice a Ho'oponopono a lot, and that would help me.
Say that again. You would practice what?
Ho'oponopono, it's a Hawaiian method
Oh,
for
okay.
forgiveness,
I don't know that.
and that would help me forgive myself first, and then others, because
Mm,
I hold so many
yes,
grudges.
that's
And say,
important.
okay, I'm entitled to hold a grudge because
Mm,
bad thing happened to me and it should not happen. But then you have to learn to forgive. And uh, I think um, for Christians is really easy, because the Christ said on the cross, forgive them, Father, because they know not what they're doing.
mhm.
And of course, we learned about that in school, but we don't understand what it really means. And
Yeah, just for my podcast audience background. So I'm Jewish, and you are also Jewish by ancestry, right?
yes,
But your religion is that you practice is what is it right now?
it's Roman Catholic, and but I study a lot of religious texts, because I do believe that there is so much wisdom in it, and it's applicable. Of course, it's due to interpretation.
Are you still connected to anything Jewish in terms of like culturally or anything like that?
Yes, Sabbath and all this. I really practice. I don't work on Sabbath. So,
Oh, okay. That's great.
it's we also
It's
have.
healing. It's a very good healing practice.
I do believe so, and
Yes.
I'm also using a lot of methods from the Kabbalah book as far as energy is concerned. I do prefer this interpretation to simple chakras and stuff like that.
It is Judaism is rich and deep, is it not? What are your favorite books to study on this topic?
Oof,
Like
I'm
the
still
Zohar
not.
or
No,
secondary to
I usually read the book that are interpretation of the
yeah,
original books,
yeah,
and
it's easier.
yeah, it's much easier for me, especially because uh, I almost don't speak Hebrew. I can read really slowly, like, and
Yeah.
it's so much easier for me to write, to read English as far as that is concerned. And then I read a different interpretation, and I take a lot from internet, and I also like a lot of things that are available on the internet, because
Mhm.
most of, let's say, my revelation or understanding comes from simple explanations, like now we would take say short videos or stuff like that
Is
that
there a
are
specific rabbi or website that you like in
no,
terms of this?
no,
No? Okay.
I don't attend to any specific. I'm not good with names. That is my biggest challenge.
Well, what
uh,
is your favorite Kabbalistic concept? Can I say ask that?
I don't have a favorite one.
Okay.
I because um, you don't gonna like that. But for me, everything is just translation. Uh, Kabbalah has nice point of on some things. That is why I use this, because it's much closer to me because of the culture and all this background. But some concepts are much better or simplified, explained in different especially when regards to the healing and energy concepts, are much easier to explain in other terms. So I just compare them. I like the body, so the tree of life concept, that is because it's a bit more complex, the chakras. I use that. I use sun symbols, um, and I do believe that is important. I, I don't see I don't practice anything, and that I believe it's the key to my holistic knowledge. I don't practice anything just that, because
Mhm. Yes.
and I explain a lot of things with the frequencies, just high school physics, if I may say so, and that is how I combine everything. And as I said, that is also why a lot of teachers do not like me, because I don't follow
Because you
them.
don't stick to one yeah, one way.
Yeah.
You've paved your own way, really, right?
Yes, I try to explain everything from my experience.
Yeah.
That is,
Which is all we can do best, right? Is
yeah, but that is also why I have a lot of people that say, okay, you are irrelevant, because if you don't have similar experience than I have, then it's hard to understand how. So if you're just going, if you have the same job for 20 years and you're content with it, a lot of things that make no sense that I say, because I'm more liking to serial entrepreneurs that are high performers and stuff like that. I'm not popular with people that do not have high aspirations. And I don't think of high aspirations as a lot of money, but someone would like to study something in detail. There are also a lot of different explorers, scientists. They're all high performers in their field, even if they're not
It's not
highly
just
paid.
about money. Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
And they like how I explain things. Because,
Mhm.
for example, I've just finished a project today that took me over 1,000 development hours. And on the end, you just see a lot of stones. And that's it. But it took me 1,000 hours to study how to put them. And now when people go through this, it's called labyrinth. When you go inside,
Mm-hmm.
different chakras are triggered.
Mm.
The different power is achieved because you get better connectivity with Earth, with yourself. So, but it took me 1,000 hours of study, of trial and errors before I was able to make that.
So is this maze or labyrinth? Is this part of your? I know you have a yearly retreat. Is it part of that?
It's not a part of. It's a part of development lab. It's not part
Oh,
of
it's
the
part of
retreat
it's so it's
yet. Yeah,
experimental
I'm
still.
still testing that.
Okay. That's interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So
Well, can we talk about I'd love to see pictures or learn more about that when you're ready. Can we talk about your newest book? I'll show a picture of that one now. And I know you said that it's like your other book, but how is it different?
okay. So um, I, I don't believe I'm perfect, and that is why I have a lot of proofreading of my book. And Daria Foster was the one that said, "Okay, your book is inferior because it lacks a different point of view." So I asked her what would she add to my book to make it more um, readable and understandable or comprehensive for the audience that she believes is the audience of this book. And so we went from, let's say, general coaching concepts and of forgiveness and uh, gratitude and synchronizations and aligning our plans with the law of attraction more into the energy sphere. And she made different things in my book important than that I would make, and she made it all about cosmic energy that I would call organ energy. And she believes that connecting to the divine is more important in the healing process. And I believe that connecting with ground, so ground is more important because so many people connect with the divine, and we are connecting with the divine automatically. But because we're living in circumstances where everything is isolated, our houses are isolated, our clothes is isolated, we need to take special care to get grounded regularly. And this book is then a compromise between someone that is highly connected to the divine and someone that is grounded like myself. And I believe that this book has an added value and that is more, or let's say that is more geared towards people that are in spirituality, and they will they will process it easier than my book, The Time to Close Factory of Broken Dream, because um, my book is more for high performance that they don't want to beat around the bush, and this book is more about cosmic energy and feelings and how you go about it.
Hmm. Very interesting. Thank you. That's a interesting comparison. Probably most I'm thinking, well, I think I'm kind of more like you, coming from a scientific background, that I would at least want to start with the other book first, and then maybe go to this. But
Yeah,
I'm already I agree with you. Well, probably because I've always been a very religious, spiritual person ever since I was a child. So yeah, I tend to agree with you, but that's very interesting. And so who is this Terry Foster in your life? Friend, colleague?
um, she was someone that I started coaching, but that this coaching then grew into a friendship, and she has developed amazing concept of Arc 7. Uh, she believes that the main problems of our society are due to the fact that we live in buildings and in an environment that does not contribute to other interrelations. Uh, I have made that a bit too
Like
complex.
as opposed to in the past when we were more of a tribal people, right?
Yes, we
On
were in a
every continent.
yes, we were a tribal and we were living in villages
And
and
tense.
and tents. That is also, but more important is this village life where people would come together daily and they would discuss things, and then they would have, for example, in a Jewish community, we would have in kibbutz, we would have then uh, on
Did you live in a
Sabbath,
kibbutz before?
no, just holidays.
Okay.
Uh, but in the kibbutz we would have a completely different social structure, or in the village we would have a completely different social structure. We would talk to each other, we would discuss daily problems. Everything would be, we
Yeah.
wouldn't have so many stored emotions in ourselves.
Yes.
We would know how to deal with them, because there would be this community support, and she
Right.
has developed that. And she is also introducing uh, the board of elders, like 50 people that each one is in charge of something that then can help community. One, they can help them heal, one can help them do business, one can help them with construction, one can help them with agriculture. So it used, the society used to be much more um, efficient, but
Mm.
also less complex.
Yeah.
And
And like a apprenticeship based, instead of
yes,
these big institutions where you're just a number, one out of 1,000 or however. And yeah, I that's so true. And I think the shift that our society has made from this tribal or village type life, kibbutz type life, to one where, like right now, I don't know my next door neighbors, and my closest friend is like 15 minutes drive, 15 miles away from me. That has led to why we need psychotherapists and coaches and all these paid professionals now. Now we have to pay for them because we don't know them. They're not part of our village. They're not part of our tribe. We don't see them every single day. We can't just walk out. So yeah, it's very interesting.
yeah, and also, for example, the medical, as we know it, is also direct consequence of living uh, without connection to the nature, and we don't have someone in our village that knows how to deal with plant-based medicines.
Yeah.
Uh,
To our
this is
elders. This, yeah,
yes, and this is not passed from generation to generation, and
right. Not anymore. Yes, 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 yes. That's why in my messaging I talk about how holistic health and healing should be taught in high school. You know, you shouldn't have to pay extra, later on when you're an adult and in a health crisis to learn these things. Um,
I
but yeah,
agree 100%. And I do believe that if we would look at medicine more holistic, we would not expose ourselves to all this grinding and all this unnecessary thing. And
in the first place, yeah.
yeah, because a lot of times we are to blame for our health problems because we don't treat ourselves enough. And there is, as with the cars, we have preventing maintenance. We know that when something will fail. So we would have, as a people, we would need wellness, because I do believe if you don't take time for wellness, your body will demand time for illness. And that is something that is extremely undermined. And we just go as our body is a car that we can change parts endlessly. And I do appreciate modern science that can change our livers. They can even change our heart. I do appreciate that. I think that's a huge advancement. However, we should be acting like this is not possible and take care of our livers, take care of our hearts, uh, and prevent the diseases if and when possible.
But there's not as much money in that, so that's why we don't as a society.
I don't believe that there's not enough. So I believe that there's much more money in that. That is like if you maintain your car, you it's much cheaper than if you don't maintain it and then you have to change the engine because you didn't change the oil. It's same with human body. It's much less capital intensive if we maintain it. So we would have huge profits because we would not need so much insurance. We would not need so much investment in different uh, medical related things. And
No, that's what I meant is that there's less money for the pharmaceutical industries and for the surgeons and things like that.
that is correct. But as a society as a whole, we would have money to spend on other things because we would
Yes.
damage our bodies. So we could invest that money into better products.
Right. As a society and as individuals.
Mhm.
Yes, absolutely. Okay. And the last thing I wanted to ask you about is if you could talk about your retreats that you have and your coaching programs, and if is your website tied to that?
Yes. So my coaching program is aimed at people that are experiencing midlife crisis and that they get stuck. And of course, because they were high performance individuals in the past, they're frustrated because they cannot unlock their true potential.
In the past or currently, right?
Yes,
Mhm.
and I help them identify their inner goals. I help them unlock their potential, and I help them change their goals. That is the most important take from my coaching, is that their goals will be different. Else I failed as a coach. That is extremely important, and their outlook, or they will have a completely different view. They will have an understanding of their conscious and subconscious mind and how one influences another. And then I also help them with the law of attraction, that they help align themselves in a way that will attract what they really desire, not what society wants from them, but what they really desire, and how to build life around what they want, not what is expected of them.
Mhm.
So
That's
that
great.
is,
And how long? So this is your website to get in contact with you, right? It's
yes,
call.oregonwellness.com, CALL.ORGONWELLNESS.com. Quite long. And then you have your phone number here on the website. And how long is your coaching program for? Is it like,
it's a 6 week program. Plus, if someone needs additional time for calibration after the program or something like that, they can give me a call or email me and anytime.
okay, great. And I know you also have a yearly retreat, right? And
Yes.
and I know that sometimes people tell you that they've experienced miracles, right? Healing miracles.
Yes.
What kind of how what's your retreat like? And you know,
So
what do you
we
guys do?
gather usually either in Italy or Slovenia. We gather together for 6 to 8 days.
Are these
Uh,
usually your coaching clients or just anyone?
like 80% is my coaching clients, and the other 20% are outsiders that just do want to go on the retreat. Uh, Being coached by me, it's not uh, important when you come to retreat. There are numerous coaches. We have chiropractors, we have psychotherapists, we have different coaches for different problems based on what people describe when they apply for the retreat.
Oh,
And
so
then,
you staff you staff the retreat according to the needs of the people that are coming.
yes,
Oh,
yes, because
that's it. That's great.
the we plan well in advance so that they have the best support. So they work with on average 4 coaches every day. We have special food that is low carb, and all is picked or sourced locally and cooked on the property. Uh, and we have also 3 sessions a day with organ accumulator. That is a special device that accumulates organ energy, and that helps people first clear their mind, and second get their body into their inner frequency. And this inner frequency is same frequency like we've experiencing in pyramids and sacred places, where body starts healing itself from the inside.
Okay.
And
And that is what your wallpaper behind you, that's what that stands for, right? That frequency, the healing
yes,
frequency.
that is the frequency. So it's a mix of frequencies because every human being and every living being is working or operating on different frequencies.
It depends on what their needs are, right?
Yes, and also if they have a healthy body, the frequency is different. If they have a healthy mind, the frequency is different. If they're in a healthy environment, their frequency is different. So all this is combined, and I would say the lowest common denominator is the frequency, and this is the frequency that and then attracts things from outside that come into our life. And I help people attune to the frequencies they need for work. For example, I help them attune for celebration. A lot of people do not know how to celebrate. That is also something that I teach. And we finish every retreat with the fire walking. So
Firewalking. Wow.
yes, we
That's
go through fire. Uh, of course, there the whole day of preparation. The last day is always for fire walking.
Does
And
everyone do it or
so everyone is invited. Usually everyone also goes through fire with me. And it's the best practice. That's an ancient practice that helps us get rid or overcome our fears, because one of the installed fears we have inside is a fear of a fire. And if we can overcome the fear of a fire, so if we can walk on a burning wood, then we're able to overcome any fear whatsoever. And we have a whole day, 8 hours workshop on that day, so that if you have a specific fear, that we can work. So all our coaches will help you work on this fear. And by the end of the night, 10 o'clock in the evening, you should be fearless or without the fear that you came to clean on this workshop.
And these
And
are coaches that you train, right? In terms of this.
most coaches I have trained as far as organ wellness is concerned, but they have, for example, they have other certifications.
Mhm.
It's not that they're just certified for organ
Yeah.
wellness. They're experts in their field. I usually get best experts from Europe or Asia to help me um, facilitate the retreat in as beneficial way as possible. And because there are only 6 to 12 people, why 6 to 12? Because I encourage people to come with their partners. Um, and if everyone would be as an individual, we would have 6 people, and then 4 coaches will be working with 6 people.
And also just to verify, I know we talked about this before. Your organ machine is based on your research and also on the works of William Reif, right?
Yes. So I've studied William Reich for a long time, and I've tried making a machine according to his plan, and I failed. So then I started studying William Reich, what was his intention, what he wanted to achieve, and then I've I had to redo everything again. And when I understood his intention, how things work, I was able to do to produce um, a machine that works, that helps people get healthier, helps them. It, it, it holds a safe place for us to work with our mental blockages, with our grudges, with our fears, and also help us um, get more attuned with our body in order to start healing our.
Do you have a plan to patent that and then reproduce it?
No,
No?
no.
What about, in the future?
Um, First, I don't care about the future. Uh, I live for today. Else, I don't. I had so when I was in investment, there I had a huge infringement of 600 of my intellectual property rights were in so 600 million worth of my intellectual property rights was infringed, and it's all about going to court and losing years and years and years. So I don't want to do that. If someone steals the machines that I did, um, the machine will not function because it's not just technical part. And I can always think of a next generation because I have developed on paper 3 or 4 generation in advance. So if even if one would steal my, it would be previous generation as such. So I, I, I don't I don't agree with this intellectually property right laws like they are, because I'm a huge believer that everything is or you call it a caching record, or there's a field where you can access ideas and products and stuff like that. And I believe that I can access that field, and it's not mine. And I don't want to block people, because someone could steal my device potentially and make it better. And why would I, why would I uh, do something that they cannot make it better? Because it's for it's for improvement of humanity. So who am I to stop the progress? So that is maybe a bit of uh, not normal point of view. And I do believe, for example, for my coaching practice, of course, I have other people that are certified in organ wellness, but I do believe that I sell myself as a coach. So, patenting all the organ wellness coaching methods, it's okay. You can copy everything, but you're not myself. My energy is different than your energy or someone else's energy. So if you like me, you probably like my energy. You're not liking my methods because I adapt methods all the time. As I said, I'm looking for um, inspiration in all religion, all text. Egypt, for example, organ accumulator has a same size that the Ark of the Covenant, the, um, this box that is mentioned in the Bible. So uh, it's it's just a mix of religious texts and a mix of materials that are described there, and of course a lot of luck in order to produce a device that helps people.
Well, thank you so much. I know I've taken up an hour of your time, and it's very interesting, just like last time, to talk with you. And I I wish the best. I pray the best for all of your endeavors, and that you connect with the right people who need your help. And I love the things that you're doing, and the research that you're doing, and the way that you are helping humanity. And I love your ideas, even when it comes to the intellectual property. And I love how you smile all the time. You are always smiling. I certainly love your energy. So, do you have any closing thoughts that you'd like to say before we end?
Yeah, I would like to stress that everyone can access organ energy, and whenever we move outside on a sunny day, there's a lot of organ energy available. So just even if you don't buy my book, just connect to organ energy. It will be beneficial. Think of good things in life, and your frequency will improve, and your vibration will improve. And um, let's forgive ourselves for all the things we did wrong. Let's try to forgive others for what they do wrong, and let's be grateful for what we have. And I think one of my title is meliorist. So I do believe if all of us will do good for ourselves and good for other people, that the world will be a much better place. And I invite you to try it. It's not always easy because uh, the outside world is not always a nice place to be with. But if uh, if we are optimistic, if we believe that there's some kind of higher good, I do believe that we can bring a lot of this higher good into our everyday life. And I would like to thank you for inviting me to be your guest, and thank you for all the beautiful questions that you have posed.
Yeah, I don't like to have a lot of guests. A lot of people ask to come on my podcast, and I usually don't want them to because I don't really believe in what they're doing. But I do like what you're doing. So, friends, this is Peter Falaskini, and his website is call.organwellness.com. And I'll put the links to his book also. Cosmic Energy is his latest one, and also his original book is Time to Close Your Factory of Broken Dreams, question mark, 12 weeks Organ Wellness Turnaround Program by Peter Falaskini. Okay, shalom.
Thank you.